Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another holiday Christmas movie spoiler review. And today I'll be covering a movie that I really never saw before. I've heard of it, I'm familiar with it, but it came out in 2006. Never once I stopped down to actually watch it because, you know, it's kind of like one of those Christmas rom-coms, but it's not like your typical Hallmark Lifetime type of thing. Is The Holiday, which yeah, it's like as kids it never appealed to me. It's like, you know, it's like a Christmas rom-com thing. I never really had an appreciation for it. Never was really on my to-do list of watch, but I wanted to put it on the list this year because, like, okay, I saw it was coming up on like on the list of Christmas Lifetime films that's coming up for a particular week, and I noticed that and I was like, wow, I never actually sat down and watched The Holiday. So I want to actually sit down and watch it for the first time and do my review of something that I've never seen before. Is on rare occasions I have not seen every little thing, and doing these kind of videos helps me explore my horizons of untapped filmographies. And the director, Nancy Meyers, made a lot of movies I did watch, like The Parent Trap or Follow the Bride 1 and 2. It's Complicated, you know, Something's Gotta Give. I've seen those films, and, you know, maybe because I wasn't familiar with the director like that. But yeah, and this movie's pretty good. You know, of course it had to be because it had like a budget of 85 million, came out at the box office of 205 million dollars, so I say it did very well. It stars, well, you following four people primarily. Kate Winslet playing Iris Simpkins, Jude Law as her brother Graham Simpkins, Cameron Diaz as Amanda Woods, and Jack Black as Miles Dumont. And I guess it's kind of like a, well, kind of like a culture swap or just life swap kind of situation in a way, not like exactly. Primarily we'll find these two ladies. Iris is a, you know, society columnist in London, and she's hung up on this dude named Jasper that she had like a thing with, but this guy pretty much is like stringing her along, not necessarily making him like a terrible person in a traditional sense, but, you know, it's not like a creep or anything like that, but he's definitely like stringing this poor girl along, having her, like, instead of like, just, if you even know real feelings for this girl, you know, in the true romantic monogamous sense, then do her a favor and cut her freaking loose. Is pretty much the crux of that, but he's not, and he's end up cheating on her with another co-worker of hers, and they, you know, announced their engagement in this holiday party at their job. So, and this is right before she and this is like, this came up not too long after she gave him a Christmas gift, an early Christmas gift. This kind of book that he's like, you know, always wanted. And so she's like completely devastated that, even though her friend at work telling her like, yeah, this dude's not like good for you, clearly, and clearly she has like a, you know, an issue with, I mean, we all been there. It's like hung up on a person that doesn't have feelings for you. But what makes it worse is that, like, he's in a way exploiting that. Knowing full well he ain't really gonna commit to this girl. And he's a creep in the sense that the fact that he's still engaged with his girl, but he's still, like, you know, communicating with Iris more so just to help him with some of the work. It's essentially like a boy doing a girl's homework hoping to get like a date from her back in high school, that kind of thing. So she is at home devastated, and simultaneously you got Cameron Diaz's character Amanda, who breaks up with her film composer boyfriend because she's like a, you know, she's an editor for movie trailers, and that's how she met him. And she's devastated the fact that Ethan cheated on her with another woman, and she like just you know broke it off. Clearly ignoring her backstory later on, where she, because you dealing with, you know this girl probably got trauma she have like unresolved, because she at 15 witnessed her parents get divorced, and I guess because that caused her to like I guess she cried so much that she never like worked up any emotions or tears, which the guy Ethan brought up. Was like, man, you seem like you like there's times that you don't act like you have like really emotions or anything like that. You feel anything, that kind of stuff. I'm surprised she never, like, dating this guy, you never brought that up to this dude. But is she, like, people, we all go through trauma, but I think girls handle it like deeper than, because they're so emotionally driven, they handle it a lot more deeper. They don't handle it in quotes, they deal with it in like a much deeper level, because it's like that kind of stuff, you probably should like resolve that stuff before you probably date seriously. That way you can avoid certain pitfalls when coming to dudes that you would have probably ignored certain red flags, or you might be toxic yourself in some kind of way, and you might sabotage any relationship you might fall into. Clearly this Ethan guy was not good for her, given the fact that he so readily cheated on her for some reason. It's never fully explained, but he's a good-looking, successful dude, highly successful dude, and he's very talented, given the fact he's a film composer. That's pretty much like catnip for a lot of women that get drawn into. So it's just like, and not putting too much blame, there's gotta be some blame, but I'm not putting too much fault on Amanda, but she seriously probably should have peeped that, done some kind of checking with this dude, see what like really is like, ask around, considering that they working roughly in the same field in LA. The word probably would have gotten around if he's kind of like a playboy or something like that, so that way you don't waste your time with a guy like this. So now she's devastated. She wants to just get away from it all before during the holidays, because she just doesn't want to be alone, or at least wants to get away from it all, essentially. So they do this thing where it's called this house swap thing, and running parallel, Amanda and Iris, well, Iris puts up her house for a house swap so that way she can just get away from it all, and Amanda sees it, they message each other, and then the next day they go to the airport and fly to those respective countries, Amanda to London, Iris to LA. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I can fairly understand, given how big Amanda's house is, that she's do very well for herself and she can have the money to just at a drop of a hat go travel somewhere. But Iris is like a columnist, and and I'm pretty sure given the fact her little homely cottage that is very respectable. It's not crazy fancy, but she can live reasonably. So she's got a modest living. But can she just at a drop of a hat next day get a plane ticket and just fly off? Because I imagine like an airline ticket from London, England to LA, USA isn't cheap. This kind of stuff needs to be planned out, especially. So I don't imagine that is cheap. As no matter like how much she probably save and frugal she might be, that's still just like kind of wild to me. You just do this the next day. I would at the very least written in the thing where it's like, okay, give him a couple of days to get some stuff together. It's just like, I don't know, this is kind of wild, but I'm nitpicking that essentially. But they go to their respective houses. Iris is like, over the moon how big this house is, and she's like, oh my god, this is like, I'm living in a sense of like a palace. Well, Amanda is adjusting to these like confined quarters of Iris's home. It was kind of funny. Then Amanda will be flip-flopping, but I want to just go through, because the last stuff run in parallel, so I want to go through Amanda's little adventure while then switching over to Iris's parallel. So Amanda is having like a adjustment period where she's usually living like a very lavish kind of lifestyle, but the driver couldn't drive all the way to Iris's place, so at a certain point she had to trek through the snow with her luggage and stuff, not crush, but push a lot of stuff in confined spaces of the house. And I guess I'm not sure if it was ever brought up that Iris has like a dog, so she's pretty much like looking after the dog too. But she's she can't sit still, or I won't say can't sit still, but she's like not used to a modest living, and she considers like okay, this might be a mistake, I want to just leave and go back home the next day. This is but then she ends up getting a knock on the door. It's Iris's brother Graham, who played by Jude Law. And I want to say this right out the gate, I think Jude Law is like the best one out of this entire film. He is so doggone charming in this. I was like, man, this dude is so charming. It's like, I see him in a fair amount of stuff over the years, and he's a great actor. Just learning, being an actor myself, I would love to learn under the feet of this guy's tutelage in terms of acting. But this dude is just like on it. He is great, and like this dude just oozes charm all the way through the film. Best one in my opinion out of the entire cast. And right away, because I guess Iris didn't mention to her brother that, because they did this on a whim, they didn't have time to just make some calls, but she should have, like when she landed, called her brother, let him know what was up before he just popped up, because he does this whenever he's out on a night at a pub, and her house is closer by, so he usually stops by to like crash when he's too hungover to try, or too drunk to go all the way home himself. And her and Graham, and Amanda and Graham are like really vibing with each other, even though he's still kind of tipsy. and she realized, oh, I'm gonna leave anyway. Let's have like a spontaneous moment where I just like have a fling with this dude that I'm probably not gonna ever go see again. So they have a night together, and the next day, he says like, hey, if you change your mind about staying, I would love, and no strings attached, no worry about that. I just think you're pretty cool. I'll be at this particular pub. Hopefully you'll be there. If not, you have a good knife. And so she's literally at, like, usually I can't stand this in certain rom-coms where they go all the way to, like, this is me talking for myself here, the fact that I'm not gonna sit there and go all the way, getting like a car service and packing all my stuff, going all the way to the airport just to change my mind and go all the way back. Maybe she didn't go all the way back to the house, but she definitely left. I don't know. She definitely didn't drive herself because she had to take a car service more than likely. So she probably did have to go all the way back to leave her stuff because she's not going to bring her luggage all the way to the pub. So she had to go all the way back to the house, drop off her stuff, and to get and drive the car that's, I guess it has to be Iris's car. Drive the car all the way to this pub. And maybe it's early morning, but she managed to make it in time when he's coming into this pub. It's just all coincidental kind of stuff. And like I said, I'm looking too deep into it, but it just seems like doing all that stuff makes no humanly sense. Even in the context of a rom-com, it makes zero effing logical sense. Why would you do that? At the very least, you like halfway you might be changing your mind and go turn right back. But I guess she was like, fencing all the way through. But man, it's just like that makes wildly no sense. And the money you probably have to spend to get that car service to drive you all the way there, because you're not going to take Iris's car just to leave it at the airport. So Graham comes in, sees Amanda, so they have like some time together. It's like kind of like a little winter fling. I love the first date they have, and it's kind of funny because she started grilling. It wasn't like a typical date question. She seems like she's, as Graham put it, like it seemed like I'm at a job interview or something. And because she mentions she's never been a while since he actually dated. She forgot like how like the process works. So he mentions his family background, like his parents run like a publishing company. He's like a editor himself. She mentions what she does, and sparks kind of fly. Then as things starting to spiral into more than just a fling, she shows up at his house one time, and she is surprised to see that Graham has two small daughters. And it turns out he's a widower. And why he's like, they spend most of he's as a working single father, he had to compartmentalize what he has to do in terms of like handling this, because it's not easy being like a single parent, I imagine. So while they're with the girls are with the grandparents, he does this little single dad, at least single man, because he doesn't tell any woman he's messing around with that he has daughters, because he hasn't met a girl that he can get to that point with to be serious enough to introduce his daughters to. because this is a serious thing. As a single parent, ideally, you should not bring any, man or girl, bring somebody to meet your kids way too early than necessary, unless you know for sure that they're the real deal and they're gonna stay. But he wasn't really obligated to tell Amanda this, because we don't know how serious they're gonna take it. So they have like some dinner together. The kids are very charming children here. Usually child actors are kind of like blasé, either blasé, horrible blasé, or really great. And I think in the past 10 years or so, we have like maybe because like the behind the scenes, they studio productions do a better job of making sure that young child actors are handled with care and properly and paid well, and make sure the parents are there supervising all this stuff. Well, back in like something like 70s, 80s, even the 90s, that they I wouldn't say wasn't treated well, but it just they wasn't looked after properly, so they won't be taken advantage of. Like you see from like even though the actor who played John Connor in T2 did an amazing job, probably like one of the most realist depictions of children on movie screens ever been. Outside of that, he was like a train wreck. Macaulay Culkin got better over time, but after Home Alone 2, things was like spiral for a while. Amanda Bynes to this day is like kind of screwed up. Britney Spears in some cases is kind of screwed up. You see that played out on the news. The kid who was the young Anakin Skywalker in Phantom Menace, terrible actor. In a lot of ways, there's some moments he plays very well, but outside of that, he definitely was like a complete train wreck. So that's why there's been strides taken to make sure these young child actors are done well and treated properly. So yeah, like a bond is pretty much forming. It's like but things start to peak when the days are approaching, when because she and Iris is only going to stay in there those opposite countries for like 2 weeks. It was like at least up until the point of New Year's. And she doesn't think like a long distance relationship is going to work between them, despite the fact that, like, sure, let's say they can take a trip every once in a while to the country to see each other. But then again, like, she has, she just can't drop work just to fly there, and he can't just drop everything. He got kids, so he can't just fly whenever he wants to. Which is, I'm glad they included that, because that would make sense. You can't just hand wavy that kind of mindset out the door. But he admits that he has feelings for her, he really cares for her, but right to the point where she's like halfway to the airport, once again, like wasting so much time. At least it wasn't all the way to the freaking airport, but she returns back after crying for the first time in years, because she admits to him about the whole situation with her parents. And she sees him crying, given the fact that they're they truly lost without each other kind of situation, and they don't want to lose what they have. So they're going to try to make this kind of thing work, essentially. And then now we're going to switch over to Iris. Now Iris meets up with this old dude, neighbor. I'm surprised Amanda never met this dude, who is an old Hollywood icon, not like an actor, but like a writer, of old Hollywood. And she likes movies too, but couldn't tell, given the fact that her house is filled with mostly books, while Amanda's house is filled with a bunch of DVDs, which she does like binge watch a lot of stuff. That's where she meets up with Miles, who is also a film composer and best friends with Ethan, comes over to pick up a lot of Ethan's stuff. Even though when they first meet, he leaves without, because after she got like some wind blowing some dust in her eye or something like that, and he gets help her with that, he never goes back in the house to go actually get Ethan's stuff. You completely forget that. I noticed, like, wait a minute, he didn't even go in the house to get his stuff. So that was like a glaring, like, plot. I don't want to say it's like a plot hole, but glaring, you know, thing that missed out on the writing in the scene. It's like, you're not gonna go inside and actually get your friend's stuff. But then after she spent time with this old guy, what's his name? Arthur. And, you know, and I guess it's sweet in a way, because she, you know, sees him, you know, using a walker, trying to go down the street by himself, and she, you know, drives by to give him a lift to his house, and that's where they spark up a friendship. And he and her having like a discussion about her, you know, situation with, you know, relationships, and how she pretty much kind of very like meekish. And he brings up, well, you're the leading lady of your life, but you're treating it like you're the best friend of the leading lady. And he recommends some films with very, you know, proactive females in film, like a kind of like old Hollywood film in a way, and to try to give her some kind of inspiration of how to, like, you know, stand up for herself in a way. And along the way, she, you know, because Miles shows up at the house while Arthur and his little old buddies have, like, I guess it's Hanukkah, you know, celebrating Hanukkah that week. So they having like this kind of party over at, you know, Amanda's place with Iris, so that way she can have some kind of company. So they drinking and playing games, and like a bond is, you know, forming between Miles and Iris. Of course, Miles already has like a, you know, actor girlfriend, and she's off in Mexico shooting like a film. So one day though, they go to this video store. I guess it's kind of Blockbuster, but, you know, kind of remnants of one. Because, man, it made me feel so nostalgic for those Blockbuster video stores, man. And, you know, Dustin Hoffman has an uncredited cameo there. A little fun fact, you know, because there's a certain uncredited cameos appearing, like Lindsay Lohan, James Franco. When Amanda was shooting like a trailer, she has co-workers John Krasinski and Catherine Hahn, very young Catherine Hahn and John Krasinski was chopping up a trailer of some kind of action movie starring Lizzie Lohan and James Franco, who Dustin Hoffman, all are friends with this director. Dustin Hoffman was going to a video store that day, saw what Nancy was, you know, filming and stuff like that, and walked up on the scene, not on the scene, but walked up to her and talked to her, like, you know, I was like, you know, coming here for a bit. I was going to plan on getting like a video soon anyway. And she was like, all right, sure. So he has an uncredited cameo where Iris and Miles are talking movies. And of course, this is Jack Black we're talking about here, because almost any movie he's in, he has to kind of do some type of musical thing because he's like he's like a musical artist too in a way. I don't say in a way because he is a good singer, and you know he's a good musician. He plays piano and really good at guitar. Because I'm pretty sure many people acknowledge about Tenacious D, where a band he formed with his friend. It's crazy how they look at it because I would say Jack Black gotten old, but it's just like he looks stark different from. This is of course it's 2006. It's not nearly 20 years, but doggone near 20 years since this film, and because he has like a whole hermit beard going on, like a whole prospector beard going on right now, but it's kind of wild to see like a young face Jack Black here. And of course he has, he's a film composer and he has to show off his little, musical, like, high note singing, like, like, and not quoting, but doing vocal tunes of certain movies that he's pulling up off the shelves, like dun 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 dun, you see Jaws, and then he picks up a film that has Dustin Hoffman in it, and you see like the camera, point to Dustin Hoffman in the video store. He just kind of rolls his eyes at it. So that was it. I think that was kind of funny, a fun little backstory there. But then the little fun time that these two are having gets drop completely when he notices outside the video store Maggie, who's supposed to be shooting a film in Mexico, is walking down the street with this other dude. He runs out there and Iris has a watch on and see him just look devastated seeing like Maggie is really cheating on him right in front of his freaking face. So they Miles and Iris goes to Amanda's house and they had this kind of talk, and they have so much similarities in dealing with like bad relationships. And Miles is kind of like, every good dude out in the world can sympathize with Miles, where he lands, at that time a fairly hot girl, but Jack Black can be very charming, so I imagine he did kind of like charm her in a way to get like a relationship out of this woman. But like Ethan, this is LA we're talking about, where people just be dating around each other. So I can't imagine why word didn't get to him about like this girl is kind of loosey goosey out there. Maybe she's not it. Maybe she got charmed with this other dude who's probably also an actor, because he's like way hot than by comparison to Jack Black. So it's like every decent average dude can relate to somebody like Miles, where it's like, wow, this girl did me so dirty. And Iris points out, because she relates to his curse predicament, where it's like essentially because she's essentially like the bad girl, which is not many guys deal with like the bad girl in the traditional sense like women deal with bad boys. It's just girls that are super hot and young, and they more often than not well, I want to say, I know like at least the grand scope of things, at least back in 2006, not many hot girls are concerned with, young hot girls not concerned with a serious monogamous commitment. They're still young, they want to party, they want to do all this kind of stuff, and sometimes they end up meeting with like another dude, maybe not have like high status, but definitely have like some kind of high profile in looks and a fair bit of charisma, can get very charmed by a guy like that too. So leaving nice guys like Miles, who finished last in that kind of scenario. Even though he's very successful. So Iris points out, like, yeah, people like that tend to use, you know, very nice people who got their own thing going for them. Maybe not on the same scale as like most other like traditionally hot people, but we tend to forgive a lot of BS because they can, you know, say the certain right thing to make you forget all the, you know, messed up stuff they did, and then leaves them room to do all over again down the line. Like, where they bring you some gifts or say they're sorry or it never happened again, all a bunch of excuses in the world. Oh, I was, you know, he, we was drunk that night, or blah blah blah. It's all these different excuses in the world, and this is why, like, a lot of guys these days, and you might call it controlling, but guys don't want their girls in certain conditions where it might threaten the sanctity of the relationship, whether it's just boyfriend girlfriend status or marriage. Either way, it's a serious relationship, and a guy doesn't want, you know, a girl get charmed or be put in a situation where she get easily influenced. Because more often than not, guys approach girls, not the other way around. That's why some people say, like, what about guys? And it's like, well, guys, you know, can't force themselves on a girl. If the girl says no, that's dead. But, you know, girls can get any guy anytime, or at least get sex, not a relationship, can get sex anytime they want to, any day of the freaking week. Guys, even no matter how, you know, good looking they are, they cannot, get, you know, snap their fingers and make that happen. They actually got to put in the work, but not on the same level as like a girl can do. You know, just even like somebody can be like Brad Pitt. He cannot, like, you know, let's say like somebody like equally hot Scarlett Johansson and I'm going from a tangent here, but somebody like Scarlett Johansson and Brad Pitt, both exceptionally hot, no argument. They go to two separate bars and start asking around for, like, you know, numbers. I'm pretty sure Scarlett Johansson will walk out, let's say 100 numbers, while Brad Pitt, bare minimum, walk out with 50 numbers. Scarlett Johansson is hot, and you talk about, like, you know, Brad Pitt being like a single straight man will just only be focused on like single girls, while Scarlett Johansson will probably get numbers from a large quantity of men, but there's gonna be a few women that want to, you know, shoot their shot, you know, and hook up with her too. So that kind of blows that up, you know, balloons that up a bit. So it's just that it's just, you know, I run that back to say, like, yeah, both situations with Iris and Miles are equally as bad, but Miles, in his case, he should have probably had, like, okay, you're dating like a hot young actress, you probably should have set some kind of boundaries, knowing that you're a film composer. Sure, you make a fairly good wage and everything like that, but you're not around so many hot actors as much, or in the same type of certain social settings sometimes, as much as somebody like her, who is an actress who will be going all different types of venues in different parts of the world, where she can easily be around, even if they're not even actors, hottest looking producers or certain maybe royalty or whatever. You have to make sure you probably make a precedent. And yes, I know it might sound controlling, but it's just, you don't look at it as a controlling, look at it as like making sure, like, okay, I want to make sure that, you know, because guys can't fight every dude in the world that happens to be looking at your girl. That's not feasible, and you'll get arrested immediately. So he has to make sure he sets certain, like, you know, guidelines, you know, stand on his, you know, 10 toes and like say, hey, you know, I want this to work. You know, I respect you, and I want to make sure that, you know, you can do your thing, but, you know, if we're gonna make this work, this and this has to, like, you know, not, you know, come into play, because I don't want things to threaten this relationship. It's not about not trusting you. I don't want any outside interference to threaten, because a girl will want a guy to protect her. Part of that would be making sure that's protecting her from outside influence that might put the relationship in danger. That's what Miles had to, you know, probably should have done, but it didn't work out that way. But all the better for him, because now he's got a chance with Iris here. But after hearing Iris's story about Jack,